Bernard Sumner or Summer. Is it Sumner? Fuck. Bernard Summer. Fuck. Yeah, so Bernard Sumner, yeah, Ian Curtis, Peter Hook, and Stephen Morris. My favorite tracks would be Disorder, She's Lost Control, Shadow Play, Wilderness, Isolation, Colony, A Means to an End, Heart and Soul, Ice Age, I think, I have to re-listen to that. The Only Mistake, The Kill, Dead Souls, Digital, Auto Suggestion, Transmission, Atmosphere, Love Will Tear Us Apart, No Love Lost, No Love Lost. Excuse me, I just said it again. Because I fucked it up. Anyway, from safety to where Coma Kino, and then These Days. And there could be some other ones like In a Lonely Place. I don't know if that's like a legit. I know it's a song, but I don't know if there's a version. There is something available, but I don't know if that's just someone trying to impersonate Ian Curtis. Or if that was actually like something. It just maybe it was a take that they just didn't like or something. I don't fucking know. And then there's obviously Ceremony. There's a live take somewhere or other, whatever the fuck. But I mean, these guys were like, well, in their early, late teens, early 20s. These were young adults, and yet somehow it just it baffles me sometimes. I just like when you think about like some of these like these big huge ass names, and they're just like a bunch of like 20-year-olds or a bunch of teens. It's crazy. Typically, in my opinion, a lot of philosophical kind of ideology. Sometimes it could be political or social commentary, interpersonal relationship stuff, struggling with interpersonal, relationships and stuff. So, I mean, years ago I read, or I kind of like did like a super analyst, right? I analyzed it as best as I could as an amateur, just studying and learning one of my favorite bands. Once again, years ago, and I couldn't tell you exactly fucking lyric by lyric right now, but a lot of his stuff was like super. I mean, obviously, it was clearly depressing. It was like Captain Obvious, like this guy's got. But obviously, at the time, mental illness isn't even really fucking. I mean, he's taking. I think he's taking medication for it anyway, and then obviously popping pills and shit like that, which kind of made things worse for him. I believe. I could be wrong. So, I mean, that's just, what happens when you gamble with drug addiction or with drugs in general. I don't know if it was necessarily drug addiction, but just drugs in general. I mean, I'm a fan of hash oil, so, I'm a fucking addict of hash oil. That shit's a concentrated form of weed. You squeeze a fucking nug, that little juice that comes out, that fucking nectar, that's hash oil. You usually only can get that from like heating the bud, like to a certain degree. I don't know, and then you got to squeeze it. And then there's also other ways of like dry ice and shit like that. But besides the point, like a lot of post punk and gothic music can tend to fall under the Halloween genre or whatever. But I can't. There's some bands that kind of like these are kind of Halloween-esque or whatever. But this is one of them. Sorry, man, I sucked like 20 dicks and I just have so much cum in the back of my throat. I apologize. Backstreet suck off, baby. That's what the Backstreet Boys were talking about. Bye, bye, bye. All right. So this wonderful 4-piece boy band did wonders before Ian dropped dead because, this guy struggled with polyamory, honestly. Let's just be real. He just wanted to fuck or be in so this is another classical case where a lot of music. I mean, you can go fucking Jim Morrison. I mean, so many grunge bands, so many musicians. I believe not all musicians, but a lot of musicians struggle or don't get enough love or whatever. Maybe it's a greed thing, glutton, or maybe truly they're not getting enough love in this world. There's an experiment with monkeys where half the monkeys had steel wire mothers, the other ones had actual mothers. They would scare these monkeys, these baby monkeys. The baby monkeys would go to these mothers, and obviously the half that had real mothers were comforted. The second half that had fake mothers were not, and they would go into a fetal position and rock back and forth until they forgot about it. But they kept scaring these monkeys, and so that piled on stress and fear had some severe side effects. So environmental causes can be, it's pretty, Captain Obvious shit. But once again, it's supposed to be Captain Obvious, but I love when people say it's common sense. People don't know fucking shit. People know when no one knows common sense, man, because there's something, dude. First off, just smart is literally knowing something someone else doesn't fucking know. Like that's all that smart is. I mean, secondly, a fish can swim, but can it climb a tree? Maybe eventually we got to give that shit like, thousands, if not thousands. I don't know. I don't know how many fucking years does it take to how many years did it take for a fucking fish to go on land? I don't fucking know, man. Fish goes like, like fucking like dolphins and shit, kind of like prototype dolphin, prototype whale, whatever, getting like needing some oxygen. Like, what the fuck is this? This shit, like, what is this? Then even, before even needing oxygen, just like going up in the air, like, okay, so if I want to go on land, I'm gonna need to fucking breathe this shit. So I'm gonna slowly adapt to that, and then eventually, you know what I mean? It's anyway. And I'm sure there's been plenty of bands that copy or imitate, steal whatever the sound, but I do feel like there are plenty of bands. Like, I mean, I'm sure like if you go on Bandcamp, you could probably find them, like probably carbon copies or whatever. But I had an acquaintance that would make music that was generally kind of sound like Nirvana, and a lot of people talk shit about him, behind his back. He sounds just like Nirvana or whatever. It's like, I don't know, isn't that kind of cool if you sound like a band that, if you like that band? I mean, I don't know. I guess there's, I guess you could be critical. I guess you can critique or whatever. But I didn't really necessarily see that. I just saw this guy likes alternative rock music. But getting back to it, I mean, with Nirvana and Joy Division and a lot of these other bands, I mean, I was talking about Outkast, Tribe Called Quest. I mean, they have their own, like, how is, I just want to say originality is possible. It happens. It keeps happening. So for people to say there's no originality in this world, shut the fuck up. That's not true. But yeah, I mean, like, once again, a bunch of fucking late teen, early 20-year-old youth, young adults fucking making some original music. I mean, obviously they go on to form New Order. I'm definitely more of a Joy Division fan, but I generally make like electronic rock music, which New Order and like Depeche Mode are pretty prevalent in that. It's not just new wave. New wave, I'd say I would categorize that a lot more in electronic. I mean, then you got like Devo and stuff, but once again, that kind of goes in that electronic rock stuff. But anyway, these guys, I mean, it's also beautiful. I mean, compared to like with the Doors, for example, I mean, they were kind of like proto-punk, prototype post-punk, prototype electronic rock, blah 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 blah, death rock. It was and it's just it's a bummer that like they didn't kind of do the same thing. The remaining members like Robbie, John, and Ray didn't just kind of do what New Order did. Bernard and Peter and Steven, and then I think they I can't remember. I know they got someone's wife joined the band, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if maybe she was a girlfriend at the time. I'm not too sure. I'm not super familiar with New Order. I mean, I know obviously some of the more popular tracks. And I will say I am, I don't know what the right word is. I can't think of it right now, but there's stuff is a lot of the popular stuff is popular for a reason. Like, what is it? Love Triangle or Bizarre Love Triangle? I can't fucking remember. And then you got, Age of Consent and fuck, man, I can't remember fucking anything. No Technique, I love No Technique, man. I mean, there's obviously some of the more popular ones. I just can't fucking remember right now. Blue Monday, fuck, man. I'm just like drawing a blank, and if I normally have a list and blah blah blah. I think like Dreams Will Never End or something like that. I can't fucking remember. That's off the first album or something that I can't it doesn't really I'm supposed to be just talking about Joy Division, but it's impressive because it's like, they didn't give up. They're like, oh, well, and they also didn't, I guess, nowadays some bands like Alice in Chains and there's nothing wrong with it. There's definitely, because if a band member, leaves the band, needs to be replaced or, dies or whatever, whatever, for whatever reason, vocalist shouldn't be the mouthpiece that keeps the entire like name brand or whatever. It should definitely, the vocalist, just like any other part, should be able to be replaced. But it is kind of also I don't know. It's another way of doing it, and it kind of focusing and realizing, well, we aren't that anymore. We are something. Once again, we're a New Order. We are something new. We are not like, you know, it is definitely a phoenix rising from the ashes, and like successfully so. I mean, I have I think Stephen Morris's book, I believe, his autobiography. I think it's Stephen's book. But you know, he talks briefly about Joy Division, then talks about New Order, the rest, because like he's like he put out like fucking like 7 New Order albums and like 2 Joy Division. I mean, there's like obviously a compilation of like 2 compilations, and then there's obviously there's a whole collection, blah blah blah. But anyway, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people have fucking said the Phoenix reference or the Phoenix metaphor, but you know, I never, I guess, even have heard or thought about it. Maybe like in passing or whatever. But and I'm not like, oh, it's an original thought, man. I'm the fucking no. But it's just like for me personally, you know, the reason you know, I do this for fun and stuff, but it's also just kind of like, you know, I like to understand, and you know, why do I even like these bands? Why do I love these bands? And it is kind of like I mean, once again, I guess if I were to talk about New Order, then maybe this could be a dual thing, but which it probably is not going to be. But it's not going to be. But I know just that is it's a beautiful thing. Just willpower, stamina, not giving up, perseverance, adapting. And then also acknowledging and like, because obviously it's like they probably didn't. I mean, they weren't thinking at the. You know, they're kids. They're not. You know, they're focusing on their own lives, and they know obviously something's up and shit like that. But maybe they're also all feeling in that way, and you know, Ian's feeling it the most or whatever. And once again, mental health was. You know, it really wasn't. It was hard to talk about. It's still hard to talk about now. Like it's extremely like, you know, I'm disabled for my mental illnesses and stuff like that, and you know, I'm not in a wheelchair. I don't have anything missing, no missing limbs or whatever. You know what I mean? I didn't go to war. I mean, you know, we could talk about other shit and whatever. I don't want to, you know, it's best not to compare and stuff. But I mean, like, still mental illness and stuff. It's difficult to digest, to process, to understand, to manage. Because I mean, once again, it comes up to the individual autonomy, free will. It's all important, but at the same time, though, like, you know, thoughts and not just thoughts, but sometimes like just feelings. Not even like, you know, the feeling of happiness, the feeling like sometimes like this innate inside feeling tells you to do something. And it could be OCD. It could be, I don't fucking know, obsessive thoughts. But sometimes, like, I mean, obviously, an extreme example would be like, some people would be like, yeah, something told me that I should move in this direction, and then like a fucking telephone pole fell behind me and it would have killed me if I sat there, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Not exactly. Kind of like that. Kind of. That's an extreme version. But like, I don't know. But just getting back, you know, once again, like he hung himself. You know, something in his brain just kept like he definitely. I mean, I'm not a fucking licensed psychiatrist or whatever, but like that's gotta be OCD. You're obsessively. You can't just like thinking one time and then like just like a fucking mind control effort, just like hang yourself. There's just a one time thought he thought about hanging himself or whatever. This is something that he's thought about for a very long time, and once again to get to that level. So once again, like. The mind is a tricky fucking thing, and I mean, by the end of the day, like it's hard. I want to believe that we're humans, but sometimes it's just like we're animals playing pretend, and human is just a label. And on such an extreme sense, I mean, this is where like polyamory makes a little bit more sense. It's like we live in these confinements, these constraints, whatever the fucking words, constraints, whatever, that tell us that we have to do it this way and it can't be that way. But it makes sense because jealousy is a real thing. Human emotion is a real thing. Like personally, I'm more into monogamy. I don't know if I could ever do polyamory. I only have one dick. I'm sorry. Like I only have one penis, man. I'm not getting into a 3-way just seems too overwhelming for me. I just would have liked to love one person personally. But like at the same time though, I understand that cuz it's once again the mind tells you to do one thing, and then once you have something, even if you're grateful, even if people, it's weird, you know, the self-destructive, the self-sabotage tendencies. Or once again, this may be the reality of just like maybe truthfully he had to accept the fact that maybe there was someone out there more suited for him, and he settled too early, which is another mistake youth makes. Like, it doesn't matter how mature you are at a young age, life experience matters so fucking much. And some people know. Some people, they're just concrete. They know for sure, and they were right. And some people, once again, and there's a chance maybe it was just a little fucking mistake, and then water under the bridge or whatever the fuck. maybe they would have gotten over it. Maybe it wouldn't have gotten over it. I mean, I think there's like divorce papers were served or whatever, and that's what caused it or whatever. I know that once again, this is trivial shit. I should be just talking about the music. But I mean, I think talking about mental health and obviously like, when you're talking about fucking, I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about these specific words or whatever nowadays, but it's just, yeah, obviously, I mean, it's not easy to just go out, if you're struggling, go and talk to people, because realistically, it's hard to explain so much in so little time to a stranger or even someone close, because they have their own issues to deal with. You know what I mean? And then like you have to find someone who's prepared and can actually handle you as an individual, which is very rare. Because once again, they would have to know everything. They need to know, they would need to know the insides and out. I mean, it's the same thing with a doctor, not just like psychiatrist, or because I was a psychiatrist, it's medical professionals and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just saying it's the same. Like they only know what they know until like, they find out more. So I don't know, man. I guess just, be careful. If you're writing stuff like this, I know I write stuff like this. Once again, like, I have a whole fucking care team. Did fucking Ian Curtis have a whole fucking care team? Did he have a bunch of social workers constantly calling and texting him and shit? You know what I mean? Someone to call and stuff? I don't think so. I mean, I doubt it. It's at different times, man. And it's, even though it is different times, it's still very hard for a lot of people, because I think a lot of people, generally, I think it, as weird as it is, it's normal to be abnormal, as fucking weird as it is, because a lot of us have fucked up issues. Some of us, yeah, there are genuinely some very pure, normal people that have nothing wrong with them. They stay out of stress and drama or whatever. Whatever stress and drama they can just capable and able to handle. They're very, straight and narrow, fucking whatever the fuck, whatever the fuck. But there's plenty of people that struggle. Plenty of people that struggle. And I think we forget about that. It's not just me struggling, man. It's not just you struggling. I mean, a lot of, and I know, we only could take, like, it's almost like maybe it's on by design. We only could take care of ourselves. And if we try to take care of anyone else, we get like our hands chopped off or something like that. But I don't know. And I'm not, just love over hate. Life over death. I'm sure there's some other fucking phrases I said back in the day, not too long ago. I just can't remember. Yeah, just I don't know. Fine, you got. I don't know I don't know. I don't want to. I feel like autonomy and free will is important, and I'll leave it at that.